Hello salutations. Today we'll be doing some simple recipe arithmetic. This video was inspired by some of my followers who often run into my DM and messages and inbox in quest of a required recipe from a given recipe. Just like this one here. Please, I need recipe for 200 pieces of donuts. Can you help me with this recipe? Yeah, Grace, I would love to help you once and for all. And without further ado, let's begin. Now, as a caterer, for you to make any given product, you will need a recipe, which is a set of instructions and guidelines needed for the production of a particular meal. Problem here now is when the recipe you have is different from what you are asked to make. That is where you need some simple arithmetic like this one that we will be learning today. Now, let me make it clear that any given recipe is not complete if it did not showcase the number of servings or the number of products that comes out of that recipe. For instance, a given recipe for donuts should be able to tell you the number or the quantity of donuts that comes out of those ingredients in the recipe. Having said that, let's begin. Supposing you are asked to deliver 200 pieces of donut by a customer who is celebrating her birthday with her friends and family. And the recipe you obtained from Salpest Kitchen or any other place specified 60 donuts, which is different from 200 pieces you are asked to make. So what do? To do this job effectively, we have to convert each of these ingredient recipes from 60 pieces to 200 pieces in order to know the rightful quantity of ingredient to purchase for the job. From our given recipe, we got 60 pieces of donut from 3000 grams of flour, right? Please don't be confused. 3000 grams of flour is same as 3 kg of flour. 200 pieces of donut will give us how many grams of flour? We don't know. So we're going to make the question mark the subject of formula, and to do that, we cross multiply. 60 pieces times question mark is equal to 200 pieces times 3000 grams of flour. The next step is to divide both sides by the coefficient of the question mark, which is 60 pieces. And once we do that, we have succeeded in making the question mark the subject of formula. So let's divide. From the left, 60 pieces down, we cancel the 60 pieces up, leaving question mark alone. That is, you say 60 pieces, we divide 60 pieces to have 1. 1 times the question mark is the question mark. Remember, the question mark is what we are looking for, which is the quantity of flour that will give us 200 pieces of donuts. If we use our calculator to do this, we'll have 10,000 grams or 10 kg of flour. You can see we needed 10 kg to produce 200 pieces of donuts, unlike the 3 kg that produced 60 pieces in our given recipe. So keep that aside as we go to the next ingredient. The next ingredient on the list is the yeast. We recall that the recipe given is for 60 pieces of donuts. And to produce 60 pieces of donuts, we used 5 tablespoons of yeast. Now, to make 200 pieces of donuts, how many tablespoons of yeast do we need? Following the same approach of making the question mark our subject of formula, we have 200 times 5 divided by 60 pieces. The 16.6 tablespoons of yeast, which is approximately 17 tablespoons. So we need 17 tablespoons of yeast to make 200 pieces of donuts. Is that understood? Now the next on the list is margarine. And for the margarine, we'll be using a different approach, but we will arrive at the same result. In this approach, we'll determine the quantity of margarine needed to produce just a piece of donut and subsequently multiplied by 200 to obtain the quantity of margarine needed to make 200 pieces of donuts. And if you are shaking your head right now, don't worry, you will get to understand it as we go. So, again from our given recipe, we recall that to produce 60 pieces of donut, we use 250 grams of margarine, right? To produce a piece of donut, for now we do not know, so we leave the question mark. At this point, we're still going to apply the principle of cross multiplication. And to do that, 60 pieces of donut times the question mark is equal to 1 piece of donut times 250 grams of margarine. Now it is time to make our question mark subject of formula. If we divide both sides by 60 pieces, which is the coefficient of the question mark, then we'll cancel out the left hand side and we will have 1 piece times 250 grams divided by 60 pieces of donut. P under, we cancel out the P on the top, leaving 1 times 250 grams divided by 60. And I believe you're aware that when 1 times anything is that same thing. 1 times 250 grams over 60 is 250 grams over 60. And if we cancel out, we have 4.166666. So to produce a piece of donut, all we needed is 4.1667 grams of margarine. Now we're going to multiply this figure by 200 in order to obtain the exact margarine quantity needed to produce 200 pieces of donuts. Do you understand? Yeah, I think you should. What we are making is 200 pieces of donuts, not 1 pieces. So we are multiplying the value we got for 1 piece of donuts by 200. Then we get the exact quantity of margarine needed to produce 200 pieces of donuts. Yeah, you get it, right? Good. If you multiply that out, this is what you will have. 833 grams of margarine is all we need to make 200 pieces of donuts. Now I'm gonna give you an assignment to use any of this method we have discussed so far to solve out the rest of the required recipe from this given recipe, ranging from the flavor, the sugar, the egg, the vegetable oil, the onion and the salt. After which, compile the recipe for 200 pieces of donut and compare your answer with mine at the end of this video. It's important to note that every recipe has a unit of measurement. While solving your simple arithmetic problem, ensure that the required and the given recipes are all in 1 unit of measurement to avoid mistake. So here is my already calculated and compiled recipe for 200 pieces of donuts. I also left my figures in 1 decimal place to avoid confusion. You can also approximate to the nearest whole number. Thank you for watching. If you have any problem as a result, please let me know in the comment section. Let's iron it out. And if you like this video and you think it is very helpful, please do not leave without clicking the like button. In fact, for watching, you deserve a cup of coffee. See you again.